Conclusion. Let every soul submit himself unto the authority of the higher powers. There is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Tyndale Bible, 1526. For his efforts in translating certain texts into the English of the day, William Tyndale was jailed in a castle just outside of Brussels and then executed by strangulation, after which his body was burned at the stake. Perhaps one might, at some point, come to question whether the powers that be are ordained of God. One can easily know that they conduct wars against innocent people. Curtis LeMay famously said, "There are no innocent civilians. It is their government, and you are fighting a people. You are not trying to fight an armed force anymore, so it doesn't bother me much to be killing the so-called innocent bystanders." As a human being, should this not concern you? What part of the organized slaughter of vast numbers of innocent people can you find acceptable? Do you believe that you are special in some way, that you were being protected, or that you will be protected now? There has been abundant evidence of great evil at work in the world throughout time and in our present time. Do you really wish to be ignorant of its existence and operation? There is an interconnectedness of all things. If you don't care about the obvious lies, the deaths of innocent children, the fire bombings of cities, the suppression of dissent, the propaganda, the escalating terrorism, in which, quite strangely, innocent people are always and everywhere the target, sooner or later it is coming for you, or your children, or your grandchildren. If you know, and you're not doing anything about it, or saying anything about it, it's time. It's time to start connecting the dots, because they lead to you. The wealthy assume that, because the system has allowed them to accumulate wealth, they will be protected in some way, that they are special. You are special. They're saving you for dessert. You have been allowed to chase profits, while the well-being and resilience of your people have been broadly and systematically eliminated. There are monsters under the stairs eating people alive, but you don't want to look under the stairs, because you want to keep using the stairs. To not know is bad. To not want to know is worse. Willful ignorance of the existence and operation of evil is a luxury even the wealthy can no longer afford. We are in the grip of the greatest evil humanity has ever faced, or refused to acknowledge, as the case may be. Hybrid war is unlimited. It has no bounds. It is global, and it is inside your head. It is never-ending. Nothing focuses the mind like an imminent hanging, or, as Samuel Johnson originally said, "Depend upon it, sir, when a man knows he is to be hanged in a fortnight, it concentrates his mind wonderfully." Hybrid war can be stopped. Stopping it begins in your mind. During the Great War, Edward L. Bernays had worked with the Committee on Public Information to sell the war to the public. In 1928, he published his book, Propaganda, in which we can read this statement on the subject. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. The systematic psychological manipulation of society, begun with the evils of the Great War, has continued nonstop and has escalated to the point that we are now subject to full-spectrum, continuous psychological operations. 81 years after the publication of Bernays' book, Chris Hedges wrote the following: "A public that can no longer distinguish between truth and fiction is left to interpret reality through illusion. Random facts, or obscure bits of data and trivia, are used either to bolster illusion and give it credibility, or discarded if they interfere with the message. When opinions cannot be distinguished from facts, when there is no universal standard to determine truth in law, in science, in scholarship, or in reporting the events of the day, when the most valued skill is the ability to entertain, the world becomes a place where lies become true, where people can believe what they want to believe. This is the real danger of pseudo-events, and pseudo-events are far more pernicious than stereotypes. They do not explain reality, as stereotypes attempt to, but replace reality. Pseudo-events redefine reality by the parameters set by their creators. These creators, who make massive profits selling illusions, have a vested interest in maintaining the power structures they control. The people behind the wars have never been investigated and removed from power. They have continued in control of all central banks and money creation, and have extended their control globally. Certainly many who have abetted this are ignorant of the greater design, but the people behind the wars are, quite literally, lying, thieving killers, and they know it. To say that there is much evidence of this is an understatement. Perhaps they have not killed innocent men, women, and children with their own hands, but they have deliberately caused these deaths. That this is done with intent can be known through the persistence of their planning and actions over many decades, while the scale and audacity of this criminality seems unimaginable to us. Nothing is unimaginable to them. Their criminality has now reached unprecedented and ultimate scale, as its aim is the subjugation of the entire globe, and of all people. Wars have always been not so much about taking things as about subjugation of populations on all sides. Vast destruction and death are acceptable to their planners. You might ask, how could the people plotting and executing such insane schemes be held together? I suggest that it has something to do with the binding power of shared guilt, of the criminal pact. The perpetrators are each and all are bound, whether explicitly or unconsciously, by evidence of shameful, treasonous acts committed against their own people. The commission of crime is a power totem among them. The more heinous the crime, the more powerful is the binding force. In the past few years, you have been living within an escalating hybrid war. Globally, we have witnessed overt media control and propaganda campaigns, censorship, including arrests of people speaking in public, monitoring of all electronic communications, and physical contact tracing, brutally enforced lockdown and masking requirements, with people being beaten, handcuffed, and arrested, even in their homes, suspension of healthcare services and weakening of healthcare systems, invasive testing requirements for employment and travel, forced quarantine of travelers, and coerced quarantine and vaccination of the healthy general population. Governments dropped all pretense of democracy and were emboldened to open despotism. There were no functioning checks on this power. The courts provided no effective recourse to the public. Governments broadly abused fundamental human rights, using as justification prevention of the spread of infectious diseases, which are, in truth, a great many, ever-present, and continually evolving. And so, this justification, if allowed to stand, affirms the end of democracy and the continuation of openly despotic government. Are you able to contemplate that this may have been about more than a virus? We have witnessed designs and real attempts to exert physical control over every person's body, globally, and this is continuing 55. Why is this happening? I will make a startling assertion. This is not because the power to control is increasing. It is because this power is indeed collapsing. The control system has entered collapse. Their power has been based on deception. Their two great powers of deception, money and media, have been extremely energy-efficient means of control, but these powers are now in rampant collapse. This is why they have moved urgently to institute physical control measures. However, physical control is difficult, dangerous, and energy-intensive, and so they are risking all. They are risking being seen. Is this not a sign of desperation? Where will they hide when they have all of the assets, when they have damaged all of humanity and caused billions to awaken through suffering? They promote the belief that they are all-powerful. They are not. All they have had is the power to print money. The rest, they have usurped from humanity. Never before has a system benefited so few at the great expense of so many. Is this not inherently unstable and unsustainable? Physical control, as opposed to rule by deception, requires enormous energy. Can this be sustained while destroying all economies and abusing all people globally? They do not know how to build back better. Look at their footprint around the world, the destruction, the economic devastation. When it comes to the real world, they are exceptionally good at just one thing: fucking things up. Then they declare victory and fix blame on others for the horrific damage done. We were told by Hobbes that war is the natural state of man. Hobbes' patrons were nobles. But is war natural and inevitable? How did humanity survive? Think about it. Did humans survive by killing each other? It is oxymoronic. War is aberrant. 100% of human survival is based on cooperation. You cannot survive alone. You depend on everyone else and everything else. That is sanity. That is reality. All organizations promoting war are criminal organizations. The people behind them are mass murderers. The men and women orchestrating chaos in country after country are criminals of the worst kind. The people following orders are not heroes. They are criminals. The people controlling this system are quite obviously not benevolent. They are not noble. They are not a light. They are insane. They are the antithesis of everything we could value, admire, and love. These people do not represent human development or the future of humanity. They are lacking in essential human qualities. They are aberrant. Antipathy for humanity is aberrant. For 99.99% of human history, sociopaths like these would not have survived the next winter. Their nature was seen, and they were ostracized from the village to save the village. They operate today through anonymity enabled by inhuman scale of social organization. Even so, this will not allow them to continue indefinitely. We have entered a time in which their nature is being recognized. Knowledge of their existence has become unavoidable. Their grasping will come to an end because all of humanity cannot allow it to continue. Once it is recognized, humans will bond against a common existential threat. People from all walks of life will join in common cause. We have witnessed this already. Their power structure can and must be dismantled non-violently. The masterminds will not yet be known. However, the individuals and organizations near the levers of power, monetary, media, government, healthcare, military, police, legal, corporate, operating with criminal intent toward the mass of humanity, can be identified. The allegiances of these functionaries are unstable, driven by narrow self-interest. By directly and personally putting these people on notice that their actions are being documented and subject to criminal prosecution, they may be impelled to decline further involvement. This process can be accelerated. It is not necessary to wake up the majority. We are not fighting the 1%, but the 0.01%. Even without mobilizing the majority, it is entirely possible to realize an enormous advantage of intelligent, capable, activated people. If the people behind this great taking persist in their insane schemes, they will inevitably be found. It will be quite simple to follow the collateral to those who have arranged to take it. Perhaps they aren't such masterminds after all. We will come to know who is behind this hybrid war against humanity. We will come to know who controls the Bank for International Settlements, the Federal Reserve System, and all central banks globally, and hence all political parties, governments, media, and armed forces. We will come to know who controls the CIA, and we will finally know who has been behind the assassinations. Let me close with John F. Kennedy's own words. Our problems are man-made, therefore they can be solved by man.